and welcome back, everyone. For those who don't know, we're joined by Keely and Gary here, and we're talking about the city of Winter Haven. And they're also known as the Chain of Lake City. It's a unique sense of place, a rich history centered around water resources. They thrive to fill the toolkit that keeps the city moving forward with creative and innovative ways of growing and developing in a holistic, resilient, and sustainable way. Join the team that is behind creating and developing the One Water Master Plan for the city of Winter Haven, Florida. They will tell the story of their community and what water resources means to Winter Haven. Find out how this city is planning ahead for future growth and development with the use of a creative and integrated approach to managing water resources within their city limits and beyond. Winter Haven has an understanding of the connections that our water supply demand has to our natural environment, quality of life, and economic development. You will not want to miss this presentation. The Sapphire Necklace project could be the next blueprint to your sustainable community. Ladies and gentlemen, Keely and Gary, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, I'm going to start to share my screen.
All right, yeah, I'll help walk you through it if needed.
Yeah, please. Okay.
All right, we can see preventer view, right? Oh, there we go. All right, perfect.
There we go. And we do have sound. I want to make sure that.
Yeah, so when you get to the sound part, basically you put your cursor over the green bar. It says you're sharing your screen. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then scroll over to the right. You should see 3 triple dots. And then there should be an option that once you click the triple dots, that's more. So give you a share sound option.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Right. Okay, welcome everybody to the blueprint of a One Water community. I'm Keely Carlton. I'm the Water Conservation Specialist for the Winter Haven Water Department. Just some brief background about myself. After graduating from Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida, with a degree in environmental studies and growth management and a minor in English, I began to work for county government in the land management field. I took a short break from the field and I entered the classroom and I became an ESE kindergarten teacher. And so that was before I accepted the position here in Winter Haven as the Water Conservation Specialist. I'm also an active member in the Florida section AWWA, and I'm the co-chair for the Water Use Efficiency Division within the Florida section of the AWWA. Over the past 11 years of being in the Winter Haven area, I feel as if I've grown and developed as an individual right alongside Winter Haven. When I got here, I kind of wanted to leave right away. But over that time frame, our city's core has revitalized, and that's brought on some really rapid development within our city limits. And that's created such a unique place to live, play, and work. And I'm definitely not leaving anytime soon. I kind of wanted to set the stage of our talk here with a quote from one of my favorite authors. And you guys are going to get to know me just a little bit better and maybe why I picked this career field as we go on. But the quote is from Marjorie Rawlings: "I do not understand how anyone can live without some small place of enchantment to turn to." So I want you guys to think real quick, what is your place of enchantment? And now think of that connection to water. So think of that place and think about its connection to water. So this photograph was taken in my place of enchantment. There's something about entering an old cypress swamp that just cleanses my mind and recharges my soul. I guess you could say the old Florida landscape has kind of shaped me as a person, though. You can trace my roots back to Florida as early as the 1800s. And as a very, very little girl, I was Disney princess obsessed, of course. And I would dream about becoming Ariel, which she's a mermaid, and you couldn't get me out of our backyard pool. As I grew older and more aware of the environment around me, I would tell people my best friend was the senator. Well, the senator was actually a very old cypress tree located in a nature park near my home in Central Florida, where my mom would take me to explore. Even though she didn't like the outdoors, she knew I had a growing passion for nature. And then fast forward to today, you can probably find me hiking through a state park with my kids, teaching them about the connections between land and water and what that means for their future. So it's really no wonder I found Winter Haven and the team I'm going to shortly introduce you to. So welcome to Florida, the Sunshine State. When you think of Florida, you might think of the happiest place on earth, Disney, a good Florida man story or Florida woman story, because those are out there too. And then you probably start to think about our white sand beaches, our abundant alligator population, our lakes and our swamps and our rivers, and also those crystal clear, beautiful springs. What you probably don't think about though is water wars, expansive water conservation programs, articles titled "Drying Up: The Freshwater Crisis in Florida," or even panic in the water utility industry. Water seems to be everywhere, right? We have water above ground, we have water below ground, and we most often have water falling from the sky. So really, what's the issue? Each water utility here in Florida takes from the same cup. We're all allocated a set amount to use based off of population demands and projections. So that cup is called the Floridan Aquifer. It will be good right off the bat for everyone to know that about 90% of our water supply in the state of Florida comes from the Floridan Aquifer. Our aquifer is naturally recharged by rainfall. As more and more development occurs, the surface area where rain falls and is naturally soaked back into the ground to recharge that aquifer is fading, leaving nature unable to, function as intended. Our aquifer is very stressed. Our lake levels and river flows that are directly connected to that aquifer system are telling us their own story as well. Their lake levels are lower than normal, flows are not flowing properly, and I know water quality is a huge issue right now. We're constantly in the news, it seems, for our water quality issues across the state. Our water management districts in Florida are stressing the need for conservation. They're giving us tips on how we could use our reclaimed water. And also they're making suggestions that we should probably look into alternative water supplies to meet this rapid demand on our precious and limited natural resource. So what can we do as a community to ensure a resilient, sustainable place to live for the years to come while still prospering as a city? So the city of Winter Haven has embarked on an effort, and we're calling this the One Water Master Plan. And so throughout this presentation, you're going to hear from several forward thinkers that are part of the city of Winter Haven's effort, during this presentation. So the plan, though, really is just, it's a long-range sustainable community plan that touches each department within our organization. While our internal team is working on solutions for a resilient water supply and a sustainable community as a whole, we're able to really connect with consultants, local and national. And we're also creating really strong bonds and connections with our local business community through this effort too. And we're really trying to push forward this One Water vision and see it into the implementation. This effort also allows for creativity, collaboration, and innovation. We hope that other communities will learn from our journey and join us. Before we really get into the meat, though, of the One Water Master Plan, I'm going to highlight our water conservation program and how creativity and innovation collide within the program. Water conservation is a huge piece of the One Water Master Plan itself as well. But basically our program here, we offer indoor and outdoor rebates and incentives for our customers to take advantage of. We'll actually give money back to those customers that are looking to save water and money on their water bill by installing wireless rain sensors that we actually give away for free. Or those customers can install smart irrigation controllers, which usually have like an app that they can control their sprinkler system from their cell phone, which I think is pretty neat. And then even replacing thirsty lawns with a more Florida-friendly landscape. So something that's not going to require much more water other than just, the typical rainfall we get. So these programs and rebates are actually made possible by a cooperative grant that we have with our water management district, which is the Southwest Florida Water Management District. And then also our Polk Regional Water Cooperative that Winter Haven is actually a very active member of. Outside of that, we also offer free irrigation timer education program. So all of our customers that irrigate their yards can participate in this one. And basically we go out, we set their timers based to our local ordinance, and just make sure that the customer understands, they can water their yard and do that efficiently and effectively while not, using a whole lot of our potable water. And then we also enjoy collaborating with other departments within our city, such as our Natural Resources Division. And then also we collaborate with the University of Florida, IFAS Extension, Polk County offices. Our educational messages within those two departments kind of, they mix very well. So it's all connected. So all the collaboration that we can get, we enjoy. And also our billing system, it's getting better all the time. We're really proud of this one. So we currently have an app, which is on the Android and Apple for our customers. So they can sign up for this app, they can make their payments. And then also by this summer, they should be able to log into this app and see their hourly water use. Just by, a click of a button. Their hourly water use is going to be hooked up to our automated metering system. And they'll also be able to find conservation incentives and all that good stuff right there on their app. And this one's really good for also leak detection too. That hourly water use, say somebody's out of town, and they get on there, they'll get an alert, and it can tell them, oh, you've had water running for over an hour in your home, and we can kind of help out from there. So we've got some cool stuff here in Winter Haven. So this is a quote from Michael Stavers. He's our deputy city manager. And I just absolutely love this quote from him. It says, Winter Haven is a unique place with a unique history crafted over the past 125 years by some very unique people. But in spite of its uniqueness, its challenge relating to water is very similar across the globe. After 20 years of researching, evaluating, advocating, and telling the story, the needle is finally positioned to start moving. The One Water Master Plan effort helps us all see more clearly to the true value of every drop of water and the power we have to maximize that value for the benefit of our people, our environment, and our future. And next up, I have Gary Hubbard with me today, and he's going to give us kind of a brief history of the One Water Master Plan. How did it start and where we're kind of at now? And Gary Hubbard, he grew up in South Florida and the Great Lakes region. He holds a master's degree in environmental engineering, and he has 38 years of experience in environmental engineering and 10 years experience managing water within our Peace River watershed, which you'll hear some more about as well. He's a licensed professional engineer, an A water treatment operator, and an A wastewater treatment operator. Gary thinks that the One Water Master Plan is critical to Winter Haven's success as a community. Incorporating One Water into the traditional utility functions of the Winter Haven Water Department is a significant milestone to protecting our lakes, our natural systems, our water supply, economic growth, and the quality of life for future generations. Gary?
Thank you, Keely, and good morning to everyone. So Winter Haven has been working on water resources for more than 20 years. It started back in the year 2000 when the Chamber of Commerce started a new campaign. It was called Vision by Design. So just a little bit of background about Winter Haven. We're known as a chain of lake city. We have two chains of lakes, a northern and a southern chain. And within the city area, there's roughly 50 lakes within the city. So the city has always depended upon the lakes as part of its culture, its economy. So, the people in Winter Haven realized that, we really have to protect the lakes. So, and as Keely was showing earlier, our lakes were basically tied to the aquifer. So if we take too much water out of the aquifer, then that affects the lakes, it could affect the economy, and it's just could spiral out of control. In 2010, the City Commission authorized a detailed study. It was called the Sustainable Water Resource Management Plan, and it was adopted in 2010. During this time frame between 2010, of course, we had the economic slowdown, but Winter Haven continued to work on gathering data on how we can eventually develop a sustainable community. In 2018, I joined the Winter Haven staff, and it became apparent to me that we were in need of some utility master plans. And as we were talking about, how we wanted to structure those plans, it became apparent that we needed to expand the scope of our master planning efforts. Next slide, Keely. So if you think about master planning processes, in utilities, we have water, we have wastewater, we have reclaimed water, but also as a city, there's stormwater systems, there's natural systems like wetlands and nature parks. Master planning also is considered when you're looking at economic development, growth of the systems. And of course, here in Florida and most places, quality of life is really key. So it also, affects recreation and health. So the key to the master planning, we decided that we needed to address all these issues and tie them all together to develop a strategic plan for managing water resources. Next slide, Keely. Or it's back to you, that's right.
Thank you. So basically to really set the stage of the uniqueness, Gary kind of hit some of these topics, but to really show you guys how unique Winter Haven is, we boast about 50 lakes in and around our city limits. We're very water centric. We are an event city. We have a lot of unique events staged here in Winter Haven. We're also home to Legoland, Florida. And so, we've got those events, we've got Legoland here, we've got the lakes, and we've got nature parks. We're very exceptionally local. That's kind of a new term we're using here, but we're exceptionally local. We're planning into the future, and this is why. So we sit at the top of our watershed. So a watershed is, an area of land that separates water flowing from different rivers, basins, and seas. It's not, a shed that holds water. The water that falls onto Winter Haven. So you see the map here, the water that falls onto Winter Haven, if it's not soaked into the ground, it'll eventually go into one of these canals here. We've got drainage canals all over. We like to send the water out, and it will end up in the Peace River over here. And so to give you a better idea, here's Polk County in the red. So Winter Haven's, right there at the top of the watershed. The water that flows out of Winter Haven will end up in Charlotte County, so in the Charlotte Harbor, which directly flows into the Gulf of Mexico. So you see, here's all of our lakes. The water, that's not soaked into the ground and stored in these lakes goes through the drainage canal into the river, flows down here to Charlotte County, and then out to the Gulf of Mexico. So, but I'm going to let Mike Britt kind of explain this topic a little bit further. Mike Britt can't be with us in person today, but you're going to see and hear from him various times throughout this presentation in video form. Mike Britt has a master's degree in urban and regional planning from the Florida State University. He's got about 36 years experience managing water in Central Florida. 25 of those years he spent as the director of natural resources in the city of Winter Haven. He helped write that sustainable water resource plan that Gary mentioned. He grew up along the Flint River in Georgia. He loves to paddle. He's an avid fisherman and he loves the beach. I really wish he could be here today to speak with you guys. You would really hear the passion, but I hope the videos will do him justice. The city of Winter Haven realizes that managing water as a connected resource is essential, not only for the lakes and environment, but also for the social, cultural, recreational, and economic benefit that water provides to the community and to the watershed. So this next video that I'm going to play does have some background noise in it, so make sure your volume is turned way up so you can hear what he has to say. And let's.
Hello, my name is Mike Britt. I've been managing water in Winter Haven for about 31 years.
Keely, can you turn up the volume on your end too?
We've seen a lot of changes, a lot of growth happening, but I'd like to talk about the lakes and how they got here and how they're.
All right, thank you.
Behind me here is Lake Howard. It's part of the chain of lakes, the southern chain, and this one of 16 interconnected lakes. And these lakes mostly got here by sinkhole formation. And what that means is, as sinkholes form, the water is able to recharge the aquifer and make that connection between the aquifer and the lakes. And it's the aquifer where we get our water supply from. So the lakes and our water supply are very much connected. And also, Winter Haven is located at the very top of the watershed. Water that flows out of Winter Haven flows out to Peach Creek and down Peach River, down to Charlotte Harbor, and out to the Gulf of Mexico. But it all starts up here, both with the surface water flow, which is the lakes and rivers, but also with the groundwater system. Because the lakes are formed by sinkholes, they recharge the water into the ground, and then water flows underground from here all the way to the south and southwest as well. So Winter Haven's at the very top of the watershed, both for groundwater and surface water. And it's really important that we take very good care of water here in Winter Haven to protect all the things that water means to us in Winter Haven.
So that was Mike Britt. Next, as we move along, you're going to hear about each piece of the puzzle. These are essential elements that make up our One Water Master Plan. Those essential elements include public engagement and communications and stakeholder plans. So we're currently, starting to get out there with our communication effort. So this is kind of part of what that means. Our water conservation plan. There's water, wastewater, and reuse master plans wrapped into this thing. Master planning for stormwater and restoration and what that means and looks like for our region. The cost benefit analysis for the nature-based solutions, hydraulic modeling, what future land use planning might look like, then also funding strategies and support, because of course, it's all such a great idea, but it's going to cost money. So how are we, setting ourselves up for that? The next couple slides you're going to hear from our partners. So this is not just, City of Winter Haven as the municipality, taking this effort on alone. We've been able to partner with some awesome consulting firms and businesses alike. So next slide is going to be John Dinges, and he is he's a water resource planner, and he's the consultant side project manager for the One Water Master Plan. So this sound is a little bit better, but again, we'll make sure it's turned up.
Hello, my name is John Dinges. I'm a water resource engineer for Black & Veatch Corporation. It is my privilege and honor to serve as the consulting team project manager for the City of Winter Haven's One Water Master Plan. I've worked for over 26 years in Florida to improve our water resources. The One Water Master Plan approach for the City of Winter Haven is one of the most comprehensive and impactful approaches to planning our water future that I have seen. There are many challenges facing our natural resources here in Florida, which of course make this a very inviting place to live and work, and unique resources here in Florida. And many think that our environment and our economy are in constant conflict, but I think the One Water Master Plan approach helps us find common ground and plan for a future with a thriving economy, improved environment, and a healthy society. How do we accomplish this? By considering how we use nature's assets and restore nature and integrate our planning of community needs with nature's needs. And by taking an integrated planning approach, I believe we can chart a path forward to a sustainable water future. Thank you.
And next, this is Pete Seckler. He's the director of the Community Solutions Group at GAI Consultants, and he's going to explain his role in the One Water Master Planning effort as well.
Hi, my name is Pete Seckler, and I'm the director of the Community Solutions Group at GAI Consultants, and I'm proud to be part of Winter Haven's One Water team. For me, One Water is about the future of Florida. It's about the relationship between our natural environment and our built environment, and the needs that our cities have for quality natural environment, for recreation, for quality of life, but most importantly, to sustain the water needs of our homes, our businesses, our agriculture, and our industry. Safe, clean water, captured thoughtfully and integrated holistically into how we think about community, is the future of Florida, and it will ensure the quality of life of this state for generations to come. Thank you.
And next, this is a video clip of Beth Lewis. She's Florida's freshwater program director in the Nature Conservancy.
On behalf of the Nature Conservancy, we are thrilled to be part of the City of Winter Haven's One Water Master Planning effort. This effort is being built based on shared values and goals about protection of the region's water resources while creating a vibrant community of the future. We are jointly committed to recognizing that all water has value, whether it's stormwater, wastewater, or drinking water, and that we need to be good stewards of this water. We recognize the value of incorporating nature into water management, allowing natural processes to help us clean and store our water. Restoring and expanding wetlands is critical to this effort, along with protecting areas that are important to recharging the aquifer. The aquifer not only supplies drinking water, it is the aquifer that supports the health of the region's lakes and rivers. This One Water approach not only protects nature, it maximizes community benefits like recreation. We look forward to continuing to partner with the city and for the Sapphire Necklace to become a reality.
And so I'm going to bring it back to Mike for the next couple slides, but just to hit home, this project, again, is not just, our municipality working on this. We have outside, help on this from consultants and obviously the Nature Conservancy. And then also in-house, we're working with each department. This plan touches each department within our city as well. So it's a big effort and a great effort too. Just watching the slides back is giving me goosebumps, and I work with this every day. So, all right, here's Mike again.
So here we are at the water resource management structure at the northern chain of lakes. This is the structure behind me that manages the water flow out of Lake Hamilton, but all the other northern chain of lakes in Winter Haven also flows to Lake Hamilton too. So one of the unique things with this structure, this is the beginning of the Peach Creek Canal. So once the water flows out of this structure down Peach Creek Canal, it goes all the way to Peach Creek, all the way to Bartow and Peach River, all the way down Peach River to Charlotte Harbor and Punta Gorda, and all the way out to the Gulf of Mexico with absolutely no management of that water whatsoever. So we basically dug this series of ditches 100 years ago to kind of get rid of water, to make the land more usable, and to thinking that water was like an unlimited resource. Well, 100 years later today, we realize that water is this very precious resource, and we need to store and hold as much water in the Winter Haven area as we possibly can. The Peach Creek Drainage Canal is 34 miles long, and its sole job is to get rid of water. Well, now in Polk County, and especially in Winter Haven, we need to store and hold that water for as long as possible to let it recharge the aquifers and help the lakes and do all the special things we like in Winter Haven. And the Peach Creek Canal is not the only large impact to our water resources in this area either. We have regional groundwater pumpage that pulls water out from underneath us and kind of can drop down the lake some. Even some of the urban development we've had that limits recharge and water percolating into aquifer, is a long-term impact. So there's a lot of things going on with water in Winter Haven that we need to look out for. But really, it starts with the Peach Creek Drainage Canal and taking care of that precious water better than we have over the last 100 years.
And this last video from Mike was actually filmed at the Lake Howard Nature Park, and it just had a birthday yesterday. So I just wanted to point that out. I think that's very cool.
Here we are at the Lake Howard Nature Park. This is one of the first nature parks that the city of Winter Haven created back in 2001, so it's almost 20 years old. And this nature park is a stormwater management facility. There's used to be a large pipe that went straight out to Lake Howard, and we intercepted that pipe and created a wetland area all around us here that stores and treats the water. But one of the really cool things about the Lake Howard Nature Park is it's one of our most popular parks we have for outdoor type of activities, for walking and jogging and biking and kids fishing and things like that, especially during this time of COVID that we're in now. I've seen more new people out here with new fishing gear and with families fishing and walking than I have in a long time. So this is a really great example of what's called a nature-based solution or green infrastructure too. And what that really means is in order to protect the water resources we have today, we need to go back and put things back the way nature intended, the way the natural solutions that nature created 1,000 years ago. We need to go back and take a look at that and recreate that. So, and one of the within the One Water Master Plan that we're writing now, one of the most iconic things we'll be creating is an interconnected series of 5,000 acres of nature parks that we call the Sapphire Necklace. So those are parks like this, these water-based water storage areas that are preventing flooding and recharge of water to the aquifer, future water supply, and treating the water as well. And we're going to connect all those with boardwalks and walking trails and about 31 miles of new nature trails in and around the city. And so we call that the Sapphire Necklace, and the Lake Howard Nature Park is one of the best examples we have of what that could look like. And one of the other ideas behind that too is think of a park like Lake Howard Nature Park and how it's benefited the neighborhood. Well, we think this interconnected series of nature parks in the future will also benefit future development, that it'll really create some really special neighborhoods and some housing type developments and even waterfront commercial opportunities that we think will be one of the main drivers of future economic growth in Winter Haven. So one of the cool things about Winter Haven is the chain of lakes, and the chain of lakes is about 5,000 acres of water in and around Winter Haven. Well, the Sapphire Necklace is going to create 5,000 new acres of waterfront development potential that we believe is going to offer just incredibly diverse opportunities for the citizens and for development in the future of Winter Haven. So we're very excited about that, and the One Water Master Plan is the plan that's going to help create that.
All right, and our next slides, I'm gonna pass it back to Gary.
Thank you, Keely. So obviously, Mike is very passionate about water and the One Water Master Plan and sustainability. And as part of this process, we as the city of Winter Haven can't accomplish this by ourselves. We have to have partners in the process. And we saw, the video from Beth Lewis with the Nature Conservancy. And so we've also partnered with, we have a local or a local water cooperative to provide water supply in the future. The water that will be provided by the Polk Regional Water Cooperative, PRWC, will pull water from the lower Floridan aquifer, which is a salty water. And they'll, of course, remove that salt from the water, and it will be provided to 16 municipalities within Polk County to provide water for the future. We also have made presentations to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. The Secretary of DEP was very enthused about our One Water Master Plan. So we think they'll be a very strong partner. The Southwest Florida Water Management District, we call them SWIFMUD, they are actually partnering with us in the One Water Master Plan with the development of the hydraulic models to tie the surface water conditions to the groundwater conditions. This was something that is completely new. It's never been done before. So it's good to have them also as a partner. Then, of course, we have the private sector. We have developers that we're working with. We can offer them larger or higher density development in return for restoration of wetlands. So it is all about the sustainability in managing our water resources. Next slide, Keely. So from a funding standpoint, this is a very huge project. When you talk about restoring over 5,000 acres of wetlands, where is this money coming from to make this happen? Well, we're working both at the state level and the regional level, and also we've begun working at the federal level, seeking grant monies to begin this process. There might be the possibility that we'll do a green infrastructure bond in the future. Who knows, where all the money come from. The One Water Master Plan is a 50-year planning, has a 50-year planning period. So this cannot happen all at one time. So it will take some time to make this happen, but we're trying to set the groundwork so that this program be successful in the future. So next slide, Keely. So One Water is really about quality of life. It's probably the best way to describe it. It's the health of the lakes, our wetlands that have been drained, they need to be restored. It's about having a resilient water utility where we know where our water will come from in the future. These things will lead to a thriving community, a strong, growing economy, sustainable agriculture. We have orange grows all around Winter Havens, and they use a lot of water also. So we need to be good partners with our agriculture. And that's just the partners, So some of the projects that are being considered, green infrastructure. These are the nature-based solution types. This restoration of wetlands. Septic to sewer. You wouldn't think that as being part of One Water, but when Winter Haven was originally developed, there was not sewer in Winter Haven. So all the homes that were built in this area were on septic systems. Well, where were those homes built? Naturally, they were built along the lakes. Those septic systems affect the quality of water in our lakes. So we'll be looking at converting septic systems to central sewers. We have over 11,000 septic tanks within our service area. So it will make a huge difference in the water quality. Wastewater treatment systems. Our two wastewater treatment plants are nearing 50 years old, so we'll need to consider upgrading those facilities and expanding them in the future. The effluent from those facilities, known as reclaimed water, we need to think how we can use that water. Do we store some in the lower Floridan to change the salty water to fresh water? Do we treat that reclaimed water to drinking water standards and store it in the upper Floridan where it's fresh water? Or do we treat that reclaimed water to drinking water standards and provide it directly to our citizens? Of course, with development comes stormwater. We have to capture that stormwater. We have to treat it. And again, we want to retain every drop that we can within this area. The wetlands restoration is going to help that effort. I talked a little bit about, storing water in the aquifer and recharging the aquifer. Water conservation. Currently, we're using roughly 10 million gallons per day. 35 to 40% of our water use is for irrigation of yards. We need to change the culture in our neighborhoods to go to more Florida-friendly landscaping that doesn't require as much irrigation. As we create more wetlands, that's going to help us from a flood protection standpoint. During 2004 and 2005, we had state roads that were actually underwater 3 to 4 feet because of flooding. We could help that process with the One Water Master Plan. And Mike talked a little bit about the nature parks and trails. To imagine a 30-mile network around the city with nature parks, and could be a multimodal path. You never know what it's going to look like 50 years from now. But it all revolves around making sure that the lakes around Winter Haven are protected. Next slide, please. So this is the Sapphire Necklace. This past year, we submitted a grant request to DEO, and that's the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. A $45 million grant to purchase 4 properties, basically, within the Winter Haven area. It's about 1,800 acres. And again, it's all about wetlands restoration, water storage for flood control, the interconnected trail systems. And along with the trail systems will be utility systems, including broadband. So this is an entire integrated approach. Next slide, please. So it really is about how do we connect both the watershed and the community, those two different views together to make for a diverse community. And this is really, we have a very traditional downtown area with lots of nice little shops, nice restaurants, nice neighborhoods. But at the same time, we have to think about, the watershed. How do we take these drained wetlands, convert them to wetlands restoration and nature parks with trail systems? So it's the complete integrated picture is what we're trying to accomplish. Next slide, please. So as I was saying earlier, the One Water Master Plan is a 50-year plan, and we intend for this to be an adaptive plan. And what does that mean? That means that we know that over the next 50 years, technology is going to change. So whatever we do today needs to be able to be upgraded in the future. So one of the first things we want to do is, we want to know how we can be successful. Well, that means we need to identify trends in the system. Those key performance indicators will tell us whether we're being successful or not. We'll use that information to look at land use scenarios, practices, both current and what they might be in the future. And from there, we can look at how those land use trends and practices will affect the current population as well as the future population. And then again, we want to address that water conservation issue. How do we reduce that 40% of water being currently used to change that to the patterns to make sure that we reduce that for future? We can then use that water to provide service to our citizens. We'll look at, the development trends in the area. Are they changing? Are they moving from single family to multifamily? All these factors will be considered as part of the process. Then we'll look at the projects that we have in our slate of programs and decide, do we need to store more water in the aquifer? Should it go into the lower Florida? Should it go into the upper Florida? Do we need to expand our wetlands? Next slide. We'll then develop, we are in the process of developing an economic tool that will tell us what is the economic value of the benefits of each one of the projects that we propose to implement. That is a feedback loop that feeds back into the portfolio projects. And from there, we can develop what we call a CIP, or capital improvement plans. Of course, with capital improvement plans, we need to be able to fund those. Do we need to change our management practices? And then we start right back over again, and we start looking at the key performance indicators. Thank you, Keely. Next slide. And with that, we're open for any questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Keely and Gary. That was awesome. It's definitely excited to hear your passion for helping out. We did have some questions come in, especially from Holly. Holly wanted to know, can the Sapphire Necklace concept be done in other communities as well?
So it may not be the Sapphire Necklace that's in other communities. You know, Boston has the Emerald Necklace that was probably done maybe 120 years ago. But we believe every community will need to look at how they are using their water. The days of taking water from a river and treating it for a drinking water supply, or pulling it from the ground and using it as a drinking water supply, the customers using it and then discarding the water will all change. There's only so much fresh water in the world, and we'll have to use every drop of it in the future.
All right. Yeah, makes sense. And Holly also wants to know, what is the biggest challenge with all this?
I think there are a couple of challenges that we face. One is education. We have to educate the general public about the value of water, why it is so important. And then we also need to have the same discussions with our politicians to help them understand that this is a precious commodity that we have, and we can only sustain life if we protect that commodity. So I think those are probably the two biggest, because the politicians control the money and how the money is spent. That's really the key to making this project successful.
Makes sense. And if you're tuning in, we'd love to hear that you're here. So if you're tuning in, definitely type in thirsty in the chat. All right. If you're listening and tuning in, type in thirsty in the chat. We'd love to hear that you're at least tuning in, and no one left their phone out somewhere as they go for a nice jog. So feel free to type in the chat. All right. We see Phoenix is here. That's perfect. And great to see all that. Christine is here. All right. So we do have quite the crowd going. And yeah, Gary and Keely, is there anything that you wish you could have talked about if you had more time to present to us today?
Well, personally, I wish Britt was here. Mike is semi-retired now, and he just retired this past Friday, and he's currently hiking in the Appalachian Trail. But I wish Mike could have been here to participate in this. You would really feel that passion that he has for this process.
Yeah, Gary, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I'm missing him right now.
Oh, that's how it goes. All right, well, Gary and Keely, thank you so much for coming by today. Much appreciated. I also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, to digital marketing with Haggerty Digital, and also My Favorite Art Place. Thank you for making sure we have a successful event. And with that said, Holly, if you wanted to come on and say any words, I believe we have lunch coming up here pretty soon. So feel free to come on, Holly, and anything you want to add.
I just want to say that was really a great presentation. It's so funny because water is the most essential thing that any of us have in life. We would not, or most of our bodies are made up of water. It is absolutely critical, and yet we never think about it. So I was introduced to your presentation when I rehearsed with Keely, and was just really impressed with what you're doing to safeguard this most valuable resource, and more than that, even just lead the way here in Florida for all of us as a great example. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure.